Andrew Clark. I direct the Institute for Municipal and Regional Policy at Central Connecticut State University. And I'm really here to testify on a white paper. It's part of my testimony. It's called Connecticut at the Crossroads, COVID-19, the State Budget Crisis, and the Path Towards Decarceration, Public Safety, and Community Investment. And I'm here to try to convince you that Connecticut's at a watershed moment right now. Essentially, this paper was worked on over the past few months. I want to recognize my colleagues at the Human Rights Network for Human Rights at Wesleyan. There were some students from Brown, University of Connecticut, University of Pennsylvania, Stanford, Wesleyan. They all helped to create this 105-page document. Over 300 people have signed on to this document, including professors from Yale, University of Connecticut, Wesleyan, UHA, Western Connecticut, Central Connecticut, as well as community providers and directly impacted people. Why is a white paper important? Why is research important? Senator Austin, you mentioned Representative Malone. Representative Malone used to chair the Legislative Program Review and Investigations Committee, which, as you know, doesn't exist anymore, but it was one of the few entities that the legislature had to really look into how your policies were being implemented. Well, he commissioned in 2001 a report on recidivism. It was the first time our state looked at recidivism in the state. And it was subsequent to that Representative Walker, your former colleague, Representative Dyson, the former chair, looked at the issue on whole in 2003, and with the Council of State Governments, who submitted a white paper called Justice Reinvestment, which has been mentioned a lot today, hosted a conference called Building Bridges. And I know Representative Candelaria was on the House floor in 2004 after that conference when that legislation, that watershed moment, that legislation passed. It was 04234. It was an act concerning prison overcrowding. At that time, we were on a road towards hyper-incarceration. And I want people to recognize that we could easily be more in the hole today had that not happened. We are now the first state in the nation to cut 50. That means we are half of the population we were at the height of our prison population in 2008. And we have an opportunity to lead the nation again, but it's not going to be from nibbling around the edges. And what this paper talks about is what a lot of folks have been referencing tonight, from Barbara Fair to Mike Askew, to Bob Gillis, to the 1199 workers and the folks that are teaching vocational ed and otherwise. You need to change the system. The system needs to change, and that has to be reflected in the ultimate policy document, and that's the budget. And so what we do, and we're happy to assist with this. There's a lot of people that want to be at the table with you helping to craft this, but essentially what it does is it uses international rights standards and models that work and says, how can we do it differently? We've done a lot differently here, but it's now really a chance to turn the corner. And by doing that, what you do is you take a look at Norway, where they say the punishment is the taking away of freedom, and everything else that is done after that is about making someone whole. It's about creating good neighbors, and we still aren't doing that. And the way that we can do that is in things like with education. You take the education system outside of the Department of Correction. It's completely independent of that. The healthcare system outside of that. In places like Norway, it's your family doctor that comes to you in the prison. It's not a prison employee that does that. And you have a justice reinvestment system that ensures there's reinvestment. And only in doing so will we cut that recidivism rate that Jack Malone and the Prison Overcrowding, the Legislative Program and Review Investigations Committee identified at 70%. 70% of the people being rearrested within a year, 50% coming back to prison. We are still at those rates. We haven't changed that dynamic, and we're not going to be able to unless we fully shift the system. And that can be done by going outside in, by having the people most impacted at the table, setting the standards for care. And I'd be happy to talk more about that. I know it's the end of the night, but there's a path forward. Connecticut can really show the nation how to change and continue to lead. And I know all of you are committed towards that, and there's a way forward that we can do that.
So thank you very much, Andrew. I am convinced that we don't handle the inmate population numbers where they are today without dealing with the mental health component of it. And I don't think that we will make significant decreases in the inmate population unless we deal with that one specific component, because I firmly believe that we moved from our state hospital institutions and moved that population directly into the prison system. And I think the numbers bear that out.
And I know the Sentencing Commission and Alex Sarkov are committed to working with you on following up on that. And, you know, what I'd say about that too is it's been referenced over the course of the testimony tonight, this idea of transparency. The nurse who talked about people don't know what happens inside. That's the problem. There's not enough transparency, and it's not a reflection of the department. It's just the system. We have not created the transparency to allow for that oversight to make sure that those needs are being met. We created the system at a time, and it's really appropriate that Northern is closing, because that's the epitome of what we were doing. Lock them up, throw away the key, don't pretend that they don't exist. Well, we have to fully shift that, and in doing so, we'll get at those issues that you want to address, and I know a lot of people want to address.
Are there any other questions for Andrew?
I want to mention Representative Nolan was at the conference too, and we loved his participation.
He's great. He's all duded up tonight, though. I don't understand it. I texted him earlier. I said, what, you got dressed up for the second half of the meeting? Because we were on meetings all day. He wasn't dressed up then. All dressed up now.
Rep Tursek, you got a base back there, huh? Nice.
Are there any other questions for Andrew?
So good to see everyone.
Nice to see you
This
too.
is Gillette. We were working side by side, and Sue Keen, my mentor.
Oh, Andrew, it's so good to see you.
See, everybody loves you, Andrew. So thank you very much for coming tonight, Andrew.
Thank you.
I'll read the white paper.